This video has been a long time coming. It's time to tidy my garden for the summer. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a video that I have been waiting to get done for a very long time. Bearing in mind, we've probably had about 4 days of sunshine in April, and then ever since it's been downhill from there. We've had some pretty bad weather. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a video about tidying up my garden for the summer, featuring a couple of DIYs and touch-ups to get it picture perfect for the warmer weather. And today's video is very kindly being sponsored by Miracle Grow. They worked with me last year on my garden video before. If you want to watch that, I'm going to leave it in the cards. And I'm super pleased to be working with them again. I'm going to be using a few of their peat-free composts in today's video to plant up a lot of my plants. I've even got a little succulent planter DIY that I'm working on. So I'm very excited to be working with them. I'll tell you a bit more about them later on in the video, but just a big thank you to them for sponsoring. Let's jump in. I started this video all the way back in March when I did a quick tidy up of the garden with my nan. With March over and the garden looking a little bit better, then came April. We had a few days of sunshine around Easter, which I made the most of, trying to get the garden looking a little bit more ship-shape. However, that didn't last very long, but here's what I did. Here are my socially distanced egg chairs, and as you can see, this is what we've got going on for a table. I had a friend over the other day and we had nowhere to put our glasses of rosé, so I made this up out of an old piece of skirting board and this thing that I found around the back of the house. We need to rectify this problem. I stole this little table from my nan's conservatory. She hasn't used it for a few years, so I thought that would be perfect for beside the egg chairs. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum Universal Hammered Metal Spray Paint in black, and I'm going to make it match with the legs of the egg chairs. I think it needs a quick sand first though. went to the garden centre to scope out some supplies, and I ended up falling in love with a load of these little succulents, and that's when I came up with the idea to do a mini succulent garden in my own garden. So of course I had to bring some home with me. So today we're currently in my breakfast nook, which has been overrun by plants. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to pot some of these up ready to go outside, and I'm going to use my Miracle-Gro peat-free compost, and I'm also going to use my succulent compost because I'm going to try and do a little succulent garden. I've got this beautiful old ceramic sink in my garden that's been used for flowers for a few years now, and I think it's got some old geraniums in it that aren't looking too good, so I'm gonna do a little succulent garden in there. The thing is, where I live, you can't keep your succulents outside in the winter. If it gets below freezing, they will die, and we don't want that. So I need to be able to take this piece in the wintertime, but that sink is heavy. So I came up with an idea. What kind of pot would sit perfectly in a sink? A wash basin. So my plan is to drill a few holes in the bottom of this for some drainage, and then we can start planting it up. My holes are drilled. I had an old broken plant pot in my garden, so I ended up smashing it into a few pieces to reuse it. I'm going to put these at the bottom of my planter to give it some proper drainage. When I'd finally put all of my pieces of broken pot in place, I was able to put a layer of the Miracle-Gro peat-free compost, and then on top of that some of my Miracle-Gro for succulents. Because I'm using a few different varieties of plants in here, I wanted to make sure that the compost that I was using was suitable for all of them. So I did a bit of a mixture, and I started breaking up the roots gently on my succulents and my other plants and potting them up in my basin. Stand on the opposite shore. When I was happy with the layout, here is how they turned out. I'm really pleased with how they look, and if I decide to bring them in the winter, they'll be perfectly happy inside my house too. I also had these little plants from my nan who wasn't using them. She decided to give them to me so I could repot these succulents as well. And I just decided to sort of sort them out so they weren't as sad looking, so I could put them on my garden table. Once again, I'm using my Miracle-Gro for succulents, which I really love using for my indoor and outdoor succulents. Then disaster struck, and the weather got worse. Much worse. Oh no, my table is fallen over. My little plants. Oh, that's not good. A few weeks later, here we are, and I'm finally ready to finish up the garden and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is the garden post-storm. The buddleia has broken here. The umbrella came down for a little bit. My rhododendrons are suffering. They have not even bloomed this year because the weather's been horrendous. More buddleia carnage around here. And my camellia finally flowered, only to be blown off by the storm. So my plan of action is just to get the garden looking as tidy as possible and sort the flower beds as best as I can. Hello, I reach through mysterious seas, my home. I look for the things I don't know. Snail sanctuary. For all in this, I stand alone. Show me where the ending goes. Honest, honestly don't. I should be the last to know. We're all in this, I stand alone. Show me where the ending goes. Honest, honestly don't. I should be the last. That is as good as it's gonna get today. Hello, come on then. Hello, Ramona. After petting my favourite neighbourhood cat for way longer than I probably should have, but I love him so much, I was able to finally start cutting the grass.
I push back the serious feeling, the end's unknown. To get back.
Look how much better this is. I still have a lot of tidying up to do, but Nan's going to come over and help me do that and pot some plants.
We're all in this, I stand alone. Show me where the ending.
This is just some of what came off of the trees during the storm. For reference, it takes up a quarter of the garden. Now it's time to get planting, and before my Nan comes over, I've got a few more snails to save because I know she doesn't like them and she'll want to get rid of them, but I love snails, so I want to keep them in their snail sanctuary. Anyway, she came over to help me with all of the plants and tidying things up a little bit. This is the sink that I was talking about, and as you can see, it's got some old plants in it that we were trying to save, and we've repotted those with our Miracle Grow as well.
This is Pettisporum.
Pettisporum, and that's holly.
And this is holly.
How did we get holly in there?
I think probably from the birds.
Oh, okay. So shall we put them in smaller pots? I've got Miracle Grow for pots.
Have you?
Yes.
Well,
I'll bring it.
We could put them in the pots then.
I'm using the Miracle Grow peat-free moisture control for pots and baskets, and I'm also using the all-purpose compost as well, which has been beautiful for potting up lots of plants that we've got in the garden, like these old geraniums.
Yeah, I found actually my plants last year when I had it. I bought some, didn't I?
And I gave you some of the tomato, not
yes.
the vegetable food.
Yes.
But fruit and vegetable.
It made a huge difference to the plants.
Nan, they should be sponsoring you, not me. My Nan would be a great ambassador for Miracle Grow, but in the meantime, I'm going to try and do my best. These peat-free composts come in a range of different types, suitable for all kinds of gardening, from fruit and vegetables to pots and baskets. There's all kinds of varieties. Miracle Grow have been working really hard on their peat-free formula, and it ensures that your plants are fed for 3 months. It helps grow roots really strong and prevents them from drying out, all while being really great for the planet as well. As you can see from those last clips, I found a little hedge that was at the back of my garden that I'd forgotten about, so I'm trying to revive it by planting it alongside these laurels and hoping we can get a bit more hedging going up the side of this wall over the next few years. I'm putting my Miracle Grow peat-free all-purpose compost to the test here, and you'll also notice that I was able to save that Pettisporum, I think that's how you say it, from the sink. This is it going into the ground here. I'm once again putting it amongst the laurels, and let's hope that we can grow it into a nice big hedge. With the planting done, I was able to focus on putting my Miracle Grow Evergreen lawn product down, which I've sprinkled all over the lawn, and using some gardening gloves, I dispersed this across the lawn. You might remember last year, my lawn became super green and luscious using my Miracle Grow products, so I'm hoping I can do that again. Stop eating all the grass seed. And with all of the final touches in place, this is what the garden looks like. I am so pleased with how the garden has shaped up. Despite the weather issues, I've definitely got more DIY ideas and a few spaces in the garden that I really would have liked to do, and I will work on them during the summer, but this has been a pretty good start. I'm finally starting to feel like the garden isn't a work in progress anymore, and every time spring comes around, it's more about tidying up and maintaining the space rather than doing huge projects. That being said, I've got some projects I would like to do, so stay tuned. But at the moment, I'm just pleased that I've been able to plant up some really interesting plants and that my garden is in full bloom. Thank you again to Miracle Grow for sponsoring today's video. If you want to check out their peat-free compost range and all of their products, I'm going to leave them linked below. I was really excited to try out their peat-free range because Miracle Grow have been working really hard on sustainability and improving their peat-free range so that we don't need to use peat in our compost anymore. So yeah, if you want to check them out, link below. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you're doing any work in your garden, or you've done some work in your garden recently, you've done anything interesting, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.